This week on the Great Debaters Contest Golden Series, we feature innovation and technology.
Welcome to the Great Debaters Contest Season 6, the Nairobi edition. I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Our motion today is dependency on technology leads to people becoming less self-reliant. We have Kenya High School versus Jamhuri High School. Who will be the victor?
We'll have the contestants take the stage. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Dependency on technology leads to people becoming less self-reliant. I fear for the day when technology will surpass all of humankind's interaction. For that day will be the day when the world will have a generation of complete idiots. Those are not my words, but the words of the renowned scientist Albert Einstein. My name is Arnold Kisivuli from Jamhuri High School, ready and proposing this motion. What is self-reliance, you may ask? Self-reliance is the ability or capability to do things by yourself without any help from an external source. But with the introduction of technology, it has actually interfered with our own self-reliance to the things we do, to how we think. One, in terms of education. A special documentary aired on KTN, which was done by the Standard Media Group, aired on KTN each and every Thursday, called Elimu na Taaluma at 7 p.m., did the research and found out that most of the graduates from this generation don't have enough skills to tackle the manual world that awaits them out there. The manual world wants each and every one of us to be skilled. But why, you may ask? It is because of technology. Elimu na Taaluma discovered that if you compare the people who were exposed to critical thinking by reading books back in the day, they gained more skills and were more resourceful in doing their day-to-day activities, in doing their jobs. But if you compare the college graduates from now, who receive everything through their iPads, through their phones, through their laptops, it is believed that their minds are not actually exposed to being skillful. Another small example is the use of calculators. Let me give an example of a small scale retailer. He or she has been glued to his or her calculator to do stuff, simple arithmetic or mathematics as you may call it. But if that calculator gets lost, how will he or she know how to give change? Decline in language. The use of technology has over the past shown our decline in language whenever the results are out. English as a subject is deteriorating each and every year. One of the key reasons why English is deteriorating is because of texting. The short forms we put in our text messages to the ones we are texting, we actually go ahead and put them on our KCSE papers, being given the compositions.
Kenya High School will hear your opening statements. You have 3 minutes.
Before I begin, I'd just like to correct Jamhuri boys that we're talking about self-reliance and not manual work. We're not talking about being able to read 1,001 books, but we're talking about technology making it easier to know exactly what is in our 1,001 books by just pressing a button. So, dependency, ladies and gentlemen, I choose to define it as the acceptance of inadequacy and seeking for help or going for help exactly when you need help. And self-reliance is the use of one's capabilities, one's judgment, and one's resources to achieve set objectives. So what I'm practically saying, Judge Major, is that when you wake up in the morning every single day to prepare for work and choose to use that electric iron box, you are not any less self-reliant than that person who decided not to. I mean, what else are you expected to do? Hold your hands up to the heavens and say, Heavenly Father, I pray that my hands will be 150 degrees Celsius so that I can press this polyester shirt? It can't happen. What my brothers here from Jamhuri boys are saying that, Chandra, when you chose to get on that aircraft to go to the United States of America, or when you chose to get on that spaceship to go to the moon, or when you chose to use that dialysis machine to treat a kidney disease, You became just a little bit less self-reliant than you were yesterday when you couldn't even think about going to America in the first place, leave alone the moon, or when being diagnosed with a kidney disease was an automatic death sentence. I'll give you the example of two tree seedlings rather. One decides, you know what, I'm not going to make my life hectic. I'm going to grow under the shade of another tree. The other decides, me, I'm a strong girl, I'm a strong person, so I'm going to grow under the scorching sun. Both can respire, both can transpire, both can photosynthesize, both can excrete. But the one who decided that I'm going to be strong dies, withers off, just because it could not survive under those harsh environments. Yet that other one, which decided to grow under the shade of a tree, flourished, reproduced, and is still living till this day on. So what I'm trying to say is the fact that technology is not making us less self-reliant. It is just filling those gaps that our human inadequacy, our human limits refuse. It doesn't allow us to fill. We have limits as human beings. And we tell ourselves, you know what, I want to reach the moon, but I can't. So what shall I do? I shall build a spaceship. I can't heal my mother who has cancer. So what shall I do? I shall build a machine that gives chemotherapy. That's exactly what technology is doing for us. Technology is not by any chance making us less self-reliant. It is only by giving us the opportunity to say goodbye to the inefficiency of human beings and say hello to complete and 100% efficiency. I rest my case.
We'll now hear rebuttals. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name Jedidiah Njenga, representing Jamhuri High School, proposing this motion that states dependency on technology has led people to be less self-reliant. I am very disappointed, even after my colleague Arnold trying to explain to our worthy opponents that technology has made us less self-reliant. Okay, I'll just help you. I'm very kind. Let's talk about communication. Today, technology has made communication fast, and now it's not a must I wait for the weekend so that I can visit my friend. I can just call or text my friend. However, due to this, people are good at conversing through phones or using social media platforms, but poor when it comes to face-to-face conversation. People are unable to express themselves to others during interviews or even expressing themselves to the opposite sex. Like just before I entered the stage, I saw a boy from Upper Hill trying to get my opponent here with a paper which he had written something. Now, is that guy able to express himself? It's up to you to answer for yourself. This, also on this, where people are unable to express themselves to the opposite sex, has led to the formation of dating sites and love messages. Like dating sites, you post your profile and then you match the person who will be interested by looking at your profile. You'll go on ahead, and maybe if you impress each other, you may walk down the aisle. On to my next point about food technology. Introduction of GMOs has led to fast production and increase in our food supplies, thus enable our country have a sustainable food security. However, this food makes us less self-reliant in the sense where we do not use our energy to toil until crops or animals mature. For instance, when a chick is given chemical that enables it to grow or mature faster into a fully grown hen, it takes a period of about 3 to 4 months. These chemicals when consumed by man, they cause hormonal imbalance where you find maybe some guys are, maybe you've witnessed for yourself, some guys have calves like girls, they have breasts. Also, they may cause cancer, which makes us less self-reliant and depend on other people to provide us with food, medical care, and money. Thank you.
Kenya, you have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
You see, I was born in 1995. Yes, I'm 21 years old. I'm sure you're wondering, what are you still doing in school? You're way overdue. Let me tell you a small story. See, when I was 3 years old, my father, the sole breadwinner, happened to be in the United States Embassy on the 22nd August 1998. I think we are all well familiar with what happened that day. Yes, the embassy was bombed. And in a bid to save his life, my dad jumped out the 4th floor window. Yes, he saved his life. I do not disagree. But in the process, he broke both legs. That left him paralyzed. See, the struggles that followed afterwards for me and my family trying to put food in our mouths were so many I could barely tell them in words. I had to defer my learning. I was sent back to my rural area, to my grandmother, because that was the only assurance I had that I would have food in my stomach at the end of the day. A couple of years later, some group of missionaries that was visiting our area heard of the plight of our family. Guess what they bought my dad? An electric wheelchair. Technology. I'm standing here before you today, educated and self-reliant. Why? Because my dad, using the wheelchair, could locomote. Slowly by slowly, he learned how to use it. He got a job, he is earning for his family, and that is why I'm here. So it beats logic for me to be told technology has helped us communicate faster. He's talked about how you don't really have to go to your friend to pass a message. Efficiency, that's what we're aiming at. You know, it's knowledge to dig with your hands. I mean, you have to get the farming done, but it's wisdom to dig with a machine. See, he's talked about interviewing panels and not being able to stand before them. I do not think Judge Major has missed a job just because he couldn't stand before an interviewing panel. And besides, technology came a couple of years ago. It didn't start yesterday, nor the day before yesterday. It started a long time back. And I have not heard of anyone yet who has missed a job just because they couldn't answer a few questions about how old they are and what career they took or what course they pursued in university. See, he's talked about walking down the aisle. Now, really, that is not an emergency. And I do not see how walking down the aisle, self-reliance, kindly, someone help me understand this. Thank you.
So the audience has posed questions to the two teams. The proposers were challenged that they say that technology has made it difficult to have interpersonal relationships. But is that not, is it that before technology came along, there were no shy people or people who could not have face-to-face conversations with others? And the opposition have been challenged that when it comes to relying on technology, for example, in the case of using a wheelchair, does one then not become reliant on the technology instead of being self-reliant? We'll have them respond. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes.
Trying to explain to someone why man is dependent on technology is like trying to explain to someone how to open your eyes. To the question raised by the student from Starehe, before, the number of people who could express themselves better was higher than the number now. I mean, look at our generation now. The originality has gone down. People nowadays go to Google, copy-paste everything, even including their job CVs, which means that people are not able to express themselves properly. To my first point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask you to do me a favor. Look around. Look around you. What do you see? Technology is everywhere. From this microphone, to your microwave at home, and to the microscopes in our biology labs at school. From the moment you wake up, you are dependent on your alarm clock to get you up. To the moment you go to sleep, if you are like me, you depend on music. I depend on music to soothe me to sleep. Isn't this evident enough that we have become dependent on technology for almost everything? To my second point, our transport systems. With the advancement in technology, there have been the release of autonomous vehicles which can be able to function on their own, not depending on humans. The first fully functional operational autonomous vehicle was released on the 27th of December 2014 by Google. If man has started to invent vehicles that can drive themselves, this shows that man has no trust in himself and is depending on technology for everything. Let's go to the world destruction weapons. Technology has led to the inventions of drones, which, by the way, have led to lack of jobs since most soldiers have been replaced by these drones. And also, let's take an example of the Hiroshima bomb that was used in World War II. Its effects are still seen to date. People are being born with disabilities, which makes them dependent on their family members and friends and makes them not to be self-reliant. This also applies to war-torn countries. For example, Syria. Its citizens are not able to depend on themselves. They rely on help from other countries. And right now, in the past, like 1 month ago, there was a debate over whether they should be allowed to cross over into the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, this is proof enough that man has become too over-dependent on technology. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
Evangel Rukenya, in real sense, at the brink of tears. The Kenya High School, and also a descendant from the great Rukenya the First, one of the finest drummers of all times. Okay, at least in Kanyaga district, last I checked. He was the sole source of musical entertainment back in his day. My people, my people. Every fortnight, every boy and girl in the village would go to the village square and they would dance to the rhythm that my grandfather would make. And so I'm a bit disappointed when my teammates cover their ears and you guys give me this blank stare as if I'm mad. What is the problem? I am relying on my head to produce a rhythm. I'm relying on my hands to actualize the rhythm. And I'm relying on this handmade drum to deliver a rhythm. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you the real definition of self-reliance. Self-reliance is using one's own capabilities, one's own judgment, and last but not least, using one's own resources to achieve a means end. Like Chandra said, to achieve set objectives. Now, my objective while I was drumming was to make music. Ladies and gentlemen, I am disappointed to say I used my capabilities, I used my judgment, I used my resource, but I did not achieve the means end, which was music. That was pathetic. That was noise. And you proved it from your facial expressions, right? So I'm left thinking, what if my grandfather had technology as a resource? I mean, isn't that what the musical industry strives on today? I want to hear people like Justin Bieber, Katy Perry. You see, these are the people in which our musical preferences have been fashioned, isn't it? Isn't it? I'm talking about the entertainment sector. Now, I'm to tell you, I'm a big sucker for Spider-Man, Superman, you know, the likes. But the thing is, these fan fiction movies were actualized by technology, special effects. Now, I want to tell you, if there was no technology to actualize these special effects, would you really be entertained? I want to tell you that our entertainment industry is built on the pillars of technology. See, you can't remove it. What is self-reliance? It is the use of one's capabilities. It's the use of one's judgment, and it's the use of one's resources to achieve a means end. Haven't they achieved a means end? Their capabilities? Oh, innate talent, actors, they have achieved the means end. Have they not? Now, I want to say that self-reliance is if you are paralyzed and you used a wheelchair, electric wheelchair as a resource. I want to promise you that you are self-reliant because technology is your resource. Your resource. Self-reliance, ladies and gentlemen. Self-reliance.
We'll now hear closing statements. Jamhuri, you have 1 minute.
Apart from making noise with the drum and repeating the same point that your fellow beautiful schoolmate said, what else did you say? I thought so. Thank you. Study hard and study technology, for it is the master of nature. El Che Guevara, the Cuban revolutionist, who until today, the Cuban people never forget for liberating them, say those words. But the same words have come to haunt us because it is not only the master of nature, but it is also our master. We are bowing down to technology each and every day. It is making us lazy, less self-efficient, and also reducing our own efficiency and reliance. People, please, don't get blinded. We are all intelligent. Let us use our minds for once and think, what is technology doing to me as an individual? Don't take yourself as a group, like my beautiful colleagues are doing. Stop deceiving yourself, please. You're too beautiful. With that, I rest, supporting Albert Einstein, that I too fear that the day when technology will take over all of humankind's interaction, then the world will have a generation of complete idiots. Thank you for your time.
Kenya High School, you have a minute for your final submission.
Rukenya, the pathetic drummist, yet self-reliant, wants to appeal to you today. Do not be ashamed that you brushed your teeth with an electric toothbrush. Please do not be ashamed. Do not be ashamed that you wore dry clean clothes today. Please, Jamhuri, do not be ashamed that you're looking spick and span because you ironed your clothes. Do not be ashamed. Girls, don't we think they look dashingly handsome? Oh, we think, and it's a product of technology. Do not be ashamed. Do not be ashamed that your breakfast was a coffee to go from an instant coffee maker. Do not be ashamed that you'd rather listen to good music on your headphones than my constant rambling on this drum. Do not be ashamed. Let no one tell you that you're not self-reliant, but I'm going to repeat. Self-reliance is using your capabilities, judgment, and resources. If your resources are technology, do not be ashamed. Otherwise, I am not ashamed of this camera, thank you very much, because it is the means in which I am being efficiently communicative to everyone. I am not ashamed. Why should you? Why should you? Rukenya the drummist, enter course.
Jamhuri Arnold, your first role as a first speaker is defining the motion. So take note of the key terms in the motion. Are we together? And ensure that you define those particular key terms. Nonetheless, it was a fair attempt at defining the terms. Njenga, at one point, I think I missed the connection and I asked what was the point, and there were a bit of stray arguments that you raised. Nonetheless, it was clarified by Kelvin when he took the stage, and he made mention of electronic appliances that we have at home, and the fact that these, for example, microwaves, even if we talk about washing machines, they have made people to become less self-reliant. We are relying on these particular appliances and less on ourselves. That point was clear. So it was an interesting debate. Depth was a little wanting, but the issues that were raised were clear. The Kenya High, Chandra, fairly good attempt at defining the motion, especially owing to the fact that Arnold did not really dwell a lot on the definition of terms. And the fact that you gave a simple example of an iron box, and according to you, in as much as we have iron boxes at home, they cannot operate themselves. In fact, they need us to operate them, and therefore we are becoming more self-reliant. Washira, confident, eloquent in delivery. The example of 1998 US bombing and the allusion you're making about it, and the fact that your father, of course, there could be questions, but it doesn't matter so long as it's a debate case. Rukenya, you took a lot of time, and there are three things I picked from your argument, and that was capabilities, judgment, and resources. Commendable job to the two teams. Good work.
Jamhuri High School, you were awarded 67%. Please give them a round of applause. Kenya High School, you were awarded 75%. You're our winners for the debate.
Bravo to Kenya High School, and indeed congratulations to both teams for a good effort and an entertaining debate. Thank you all for watching. Follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Great Debaters EA on Twitter. I have been your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyambok. Catch you next time.